Well, good afternoon and welcome to 2026 in this first month of new beginnings of the year. I just want to talk about on this video surrendering. The last one I talked about was curiosity and living a life of surrender, and people wonder what that is. What is it? What is surrendering? Well, it's letting go of control and be open to guidance. And I'm just going to let that sink in for a minute. It's letting go of control and be open to guidance. So why would we want to let go of control? In other words, why would we want to surrender? Well, in my many experiences, I started to learn donkeys years ago about personal development. I was in my early 20s. And personal development at that time was very big in the States, and it was starting to make its way around the UK, mainly through some form of multi-level marketing, because these organisations knew if they could change the members' thinking into a more positive state rather than a negative, they would get more results, and they actually did. And it was short-lived though, because we followed these teachings. And as we follow these teachings, they work to a point, but we're still disconnected from who we really are. And for me at the time, it really served me well. I began to look at things more positive. My full-time job was in sales. I had a side hustle that was in sales. And personal development helped me in both. However, in my view, it has limitations, because what I noticed was a yo-yo effect from a period of time where everything runs great and then it starts to fall apart, it starts to go down, and then it comes back up again, depending, I think, on the willpower of the individual. And if some of you were heavy into personal development and have been studying personal development, then how's it going for you? Is it similar, or are you having a different effect? And the reason I think it yo-yos is because the teachings are fake it until you make it. And what I mean by that is, if you feel low, the teachings are pretend you feel positive. And that's sort of like setting a goal and an intention. But when you're pretending all the time that you're positive, even when you feel you don't, it does work for quite a number of years. But then things would collapse for me after I pretended this positive. And of course, the training in personal development is to pick yourself up and away you go. The key training to it, of course, is never quit, which again, now I've learned what I've learned, I would question that. I'm not knocking personal development here, because anyone that studies it or flirts with it or moves with it, to me, is a seeker. They're getting more curious about life, and that's where I was. That's where I started donkeys years ago. And a possible question that people are asking themselves that are in that space is, there has to be more. That's why they're seeking. That's why they're looking. And the journey then, as I went down these rabbit holes and began learning and seeking, took me into energy work. And I began to understand that we're all energetic beings. And I'm just going to touch on this because it's a huge subject. And by energetic means is that we're all connected via consciousness to everything. So the teachings around this is that we are creators. We can create and manifest our own reality, which we can, but again, by not forcing anything, by just allowing, by surrendering. And in personal development, they teach daily affirmations, and they work for me. That was goal setting and reading out every day what those goals were until it kept repeating and repeating. And they also talk about as well that we become a product of our environment, meaning whoever we hang with, whatever their beliefs are, ours becomes similar or the same. And here's an easy one. How many times do people point to us and say, oh, you're just like your dad, or you're just like your mum? And that's a really good example. Or you hear somebody that's lost their way, and somebody will say, oh, well, they've just got in with the wrong crowd, because what happens is we get sucked into what their beliefs and what their intentions are. So for me, if we're all connected to consciousness and we intend to get back to connect who we really are, it's learning to let go of these beliefs and conditionings that we have. And that's not making them wrong, by the way. That's just noticing that these are our beliefs and this is the conditioning we've learnt. And this is what surrender's about. It's about allowing those beliefs to be there, but also getting curious about the opposite end of the stick, the opposite of that belief, and not making that right or wrong as well. We sort of hang about in the middle, in the balance of it all, and just experience what we choose to. And this is surrendering. And because what happens is when we begin to surrender, we then get an alignment inside. We get excited about something. So with good guidance and support, we can really let go of limited beliefs, fears and conditioning by surrendering and allowing. But the caveat is, from my experience, I don't know anybody that's done it on their own. They need guidance or they need support. And that's the sort of thing I work with and teach people how to do with various different modalities. So if you want to know more, if you want to talk to me, just put a thumbs up in the comments, and if you would like subscribe or follow, that would be great as well. So because it helps me and it helps other people begin to understand what this is all about. And if you want to share it, if you're not interested, somebody else might be. They might find the content quite effective for them at their point in an experience in life. So thanks for listening. This is Stephen Bones, the Drumming Man, signing off. Have a great year.